Welcome to the Restart a Heart Day live event. We'll be starting soon. Two minutes until the Restart a Heart Day live event. One minute until the Restart a Heart Day live event. Welcome to Restart a Heart Day. Today we'll hear from survivors of cardiac arrest, listen to experts talk about their expertise in this field, explore some of the technology that is helping to save lives of cardiac arrest victims, and more. Thanks for joining us.
On the day when I had the cardiac arrest, I was at a local working bee with Mary stationeers, weeding and having a beautiful time in the sunshine.
When Susie collapsed, she was just 2 or 3 metres away from me. She was right in front of me. She'd just taken a photo. She kind of went down on one knee and pitched backwards.
Basically, both Ross and I ran over to her, and I think it was at that point where I was trying to elicit from Ross whether she was epileptic, but at the same time, calling 000.
Okay, so is she breathing?
It looks as though she's not breathing anymore.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how to do CPR. Okay.
I think the reality was it was only a couple of minutes that I was giving CPR until there was a responder from Good Sam.
My phone made a siren noise. I had a look on the screen and accepted the request and saw that there was a crowd of people nearby. So I headed down that way and followed the map to where Susie needed assistance.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
You got someone there with you?
I'll never forget, there was a very special moment. It was about 4 minutes in and I heard a voice behind me saying, "Can I help?" Found out later she was responding to the Good Sam app.
The CPR that Paul and Ross had provided was successful and she was breathing and she had a cardiac output when I was there, so I rolled her into the recovery position. It was at that point about 20 seconds later that she stopped breathing again and her heart stopped beating. So we rolled her back and commenced CPR again.
When we first arrived at the scene, we saw where the patient was by the fire truck and saw a civilian doing CPR, the fire brigade managing the airway, and a micro-responder setting up for intubation.
The Good Sam responder was doing CPR and they were controlling the scene really well. Her early arrival and CPR was critical to the survival of the patient.
The outcome would have been very different had it not been for the quick thinking of Paul and his assistance, the assistance we got from people around. We had children, we had all sorts of things going on. They will always be really heroes to us.
I'd like to tell my community heroes that you are my heroes. I want everyone to know, I guess, and to know about the Good Sam app. And again, their quick thinking, their generosity of spirit, their skill has meant that I can be here and I can tell this story.
Hi, my name is David Waters and I'm the Chief Executive of the Council of Ambulance Authorities. Welcome back to Restart Our Heart Day. Today is Restart Our Heart Day and we are celebrating the activities we've talked about over the week. Restart Our Heart Day was created to help raise awareness of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest and the importance of knowing what to do if one occurs in front of you. Every year across Australia and New Zealand, over 30,000 people suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, and 9 out of 10 of them die. That's 27,000 people who will die this year alone, and many of those deaths are preventable by simply knowing to call, push, shock. Call 000 in Australia, 111 in New Zealand and PNG. Push on the chest to start CPR, and shock by getting the closest AED and using it. For every minute you hesitate, or you don't do CPR, or you don't call 000 or 111, that person's chance of survival drops by 10%. Every minute. On average, it takes our ambulances 8 minutes in a metro area to get to you. So that's an 80% reduction in their chance of survival. Now let's turn the statistics on its head and say, you know what to do straight away. You can identify cardiac arrest when it happens. You start CPR. Someone calls 000 or 111. The call taker will guide you through CPR and someone else will be sent to find the nearest AED and bring that to you. And you know how to use an AED. By the time the paramedics arrive, that patient is in a completely different situation. You know to call, push, shock is the best way to help us save your mum, your dad, a son, a stranger on the street, or your work colleague. What we often forget is that a cardiac arrest can happen to anyone, anytime, no matter their age or medical condition. Today, you will see a number of survival stories. A young boy who drowned and was saved, a healthy 19-year-old AFL player, a mum in her 40s, even celebrities like their original Yellow Wiggle Greg Page. But remember, without public knowing CPR, currently for every one person who survived, 9 didn't. And this is what Restart a Heart Day is hoping to change. You can help spread the Restart a Heart Day message. Call, push, shock. This year, we are asking you to help us and share the Restart a Heart Day message on your social media by joining the #949 challenge. Take a short video of yourself or your family or friend performing 9 CPR compressions on a pillow, a teddy, a Build-A-Bear, in memory of the 9 out of 10 cardiac arrest patients who did not survive. Help us inspire your colleagues and friends to learn CPR so they too will know what to do in the case of a cardiac arrest. Later today, you can join Greg Page, the original Yellow Wiggle, and the Channel 9 crew in the world's largest CPR class. I'll say that again, the world's largest CPR class in a 1-hour-long TV event sharing Restart a Heart Day messages and helping you to practice CPR.
Would you know what to do if you came across someone suffering from an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest? It could be a family member, a friend or someone you don't even know, lying unconscious and breathing irregularly. Unfortunately, it happens too frequently. 30,000 Australians suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest every year. And when they do, seconds count. How someone on the scene responds can be the difference between life and death. You might hope that it is never ahead of you, but should prepare in case it does. When seconds count, all of us should know the basics. Call, push, shock. And that is what Restart a Heart Day is all about. I encourage all Australians to visit the website, share the videos on social media, and talk with their family or friends about what to do. By raising awareness and being prepared to act, we can increase survival rates.
Restart a Heart Day was launched across Australia and New Zealand back in 2018 on the lawns of the Australian Parliament by the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison.
I am now honoured to introduce Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who has kindly given his time to help us raise awareness for the lives lost from sudden cardiac arrest, and in doing so help to save more lives. Prime Minister, welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, David, and thank you, Paul, for your welcome to country, and can I add my acknowledgement to Elders past and present. This is a very personal cause that brings me here today at a number of levels. In my own family, in just the past week, we've been dealing with this issue quite directly, and that goes on, and I want to extend, while maintaining the privacy of that situation, my best love and wishes to the family members who are affected by that, even as we speak, even in this last few hours. Can I also acknowledge, in addition to David and Tony and the others who've spoken, my brother's here, Al Morrison. He's a paramedic. Many of you might know my father was a policeman. Well, my brother's a paramedic. My brother-in-law was a fiery, so we've got the services pretty much covered off around the place. And some years ago, on the similar topic, I was down in Cronulla and I was experiencing some rather serious chest conditions, and the doctor called the ambulance, and the ambulance turns up, and I jump in, I didn't jump in, they carried me into the back of the ambulance. I wasn't in the mood for jumping at all at the time. And my brother, who's paramedic and heading up the educational service in the New South Wales Ambulance Service, so well known in the ambulance service, I get in the back of this ambulance, and the two attending ambulance officers say to me, are you who we think you are? And I went, well, who do you think I am? They said, are you Al Morrison's brother? They were clearly very concerned not to be at rest on the job that day with Al. But this is an experience that some 25,000 Australians experience. I mean, that's the size of a town of around about Armidale or Alice Springs. That's a lot of Australians who are impacted by this every single year. And it's a very real risk. And it's a very real situation which Australians and their families and their loved ones and their friends and their work colleagues, or indeed people just walking by, may well find themselves in the situation where they're called upon to give assistance. And only 1 in 10 people survive a sudden cardiac arrest. In some cases where they're in a position to be close by to hospitals or other emergency services, then obviously that can improve. But for many, it could be anywhere, at any time, and it can claim lives, and it can rob loved ones from their families, friends, fathers, husbands, wives, grandparents, all in an instant. And every shred of evidence tells us that lives are saved when a witness to a cardiac arrest, a bystander, steps up to perform CPR, and if they can, use a defibrillator while an ambulance is on the way. And you know, sometimes too many of us are a bit scared to step in. I could stuff this up. I could make it worse. I wouldn't want to be responsible for that, and I can understand that. But what Tony and the rest of the team are really trying to get across to you today through this very important Restart a Heart Day is to build awareness and education that, and they tell me, believe me, they say, there's nothing you can do to make that situation worse. It's already pretty grim. And so you being able to step up and step in, I think, is an important thing for every Australian to do. In this country, it's one of our core values. We look after our mates. And when you're looking after your mates, you don't walk past, you don't walk by, and you step up and you do what you can, as I know so many Australians do. Now, 3/4 of sudden cardiac arrests occur in the home, so it's all important, we all know, adults and kids. I mean, how good are the stories when you hear of the kids who know this, and they call 000. Alan and my father once was overseeing the 000 centre there in Sydney many, many years ago. Now, kids ring in. What courage does that take? What initiative does that take? And that's a product of how parents have these discussions with their kids. And we have to have these discussions with our kids, because it may be you lying there on the floor while you're waiting for one of your kids to pick up the phone and call 000. So there are three things. Call the emergency number, 000. Start the CPR. Jump on and start going. Bang, bang, bang. As hard as you can. And if you know how to do it properly, well, that's even better. And if you're a member of a surf lifesaving club or you're a member of the St John's Ambulance, or there are many other opportunities where Australians can go and they can get that training and they can be on hand in circumstances like this. But to start the CPR, and where one is available, use a defibrillator. And if there is one, and to shock. And I've done that before, using in trials. The instructions are very easy to follow. You just read them, you compose yourself, you gather yourself, and you focus on what's right in front of you. Our ambulance officers and our medical health professionals and those attending on the scene do amazing things. They really do. And I respect them greatly. It's not just because my brother serves in that area that I have a special understanding of this, but one of the things that Al's always told me when I've asked him when he's attending some of the most horrific things on a scene, and those ambulance officers and others are there, they have to carry that around with them all the time, those images, what they're feeling at the time. And I've asked him, how do you deal with that? How do you focus at a time like this? And he says, you just deal with what's in front of you. You just focus on the job that you have. And I want to thank all of those ambulance officers and all of those who are providing these services all around the country. That focus, that discipline, that compassion, that care is what saves the lives. And we can all do it. Even I can. We can all do it if we step up and we do those three things. Call the emergency number, start the CPR, and use a defibrillator if there is one to shock. So many organisations are here and involved. Clubs, businesses, shops, communities, finding out how they can provide this assistance through the many organisations represented here. The CAA, their member services, supportive organisations including the Australian Resuscitation Council, and of course Martin and the Royal Flying Doctor Service, who the government is very pleased to support. St John's National, the Heart Foundation, they're all there doing their job. And we're backing them in to do that. And the best way all Australians can back them in to do that is just take this simple message, have this chat with your mates, have it with your families, have it with your kids, have it with those you're out and about with. And so if we do see it happen, you can step up and you can save a life. So I urge all Australians to learn how to restart a heart day, and very pleased to be here for this very important occasion, getting this message out. Thank you all very much. Cheers.
My name is Dr. Tony Smith. I'm the Medical Director for St John, and I'm going to talk to you about how to do CPR and how to use an AED, also known as a defibrillator. CPR is the method of pumping blood around a person's body by pushing on their chest and blowing in their mouth when they have suffered from a cardiac arrest, which simply means that their heart has stopped beating. Medical conditions such as a heart attack can cause the heart to stop beating, but other causes include drowning and electric shock. When cardiac arrest happens, the person becomes unconscious and they stop breathing. And when that happens, they need CPR to help save their life. CPR is easy to learn, it's easy to do, and it saves lives. Every day in New Zealand, somewhere between 3 and 4 people will need CPR in order to help save their lives. If a person suffers a cardiac arrest, make sure an ambulance has been called, put them flat on their back and start CPR. Using a defibrillator, if there is one nearby, will substantially increase their chance of survival. AED stands for Automated External Defibrillator. It's a portable emergency defibrillator. A defibrillator is a device which supplies a safe electric shock in order to restart a heart which has stopped beating. If a person in cardiac arrest receives a shock from a defibrillator prior to an ambulance arriving, their chances of surviving are much, much higher. AEDs are most useful where large numbers of people get together, and there is now an AED at your local ASB branch. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do CPR and use an AED on an adult. Before you do anything, make sure that an ambulance has been called and nobody is in danger. You are then going to push on the chest and blow in the mouth. You push on the chest 30 times and you blow in the mouth twice. Remember this, 30 to 2 no matter who. Now, let's have a go. To push on the chest, put one hand on top of the other. Put your hands in the middle of the chest with your shoulders over the patient and keep your arms straight. Push hard and push fast 30 times. 28, 29, 30. Now blow twice in the mouth. Tilt the head, pinch the nose and blow twice. Now back on the chest 30 times. "28, 29, 30. Remember, 30 to 2, no matter who. Push hard and push fast. Keep doing this until the ambulance arrives. The most important part of CPR is the chest compressions. Remember to push hard and push fast. If you don't know how fast, you need to push at 100 a minute, and the beat of the Bee Gees song Staying Alive is exactly 100 beats a minute. So get that song in your mind and concentrate on the chest compressions. If you don't want to do the mouth-to-mouth, or you can't do the mouth-to-mouth, then just do the chest compressions, because some CPR is better than no CPR at all. If there is an AED nearby, this could increase the patient's chance of surviving by up to 40%. AEDs are designed for people who have no prior medical knowledge and use simple voice instructions so that anyone can use the AED safely and effectively. I'm going to demonstrate using a Philips Heart Start AED, noting that the principles of using an AED are the same no matter what the brand is. The most important thing is to keep calm and follow the voice instructions from the AED. Start by turning the AED on.
Begin by removing all clothing from the patient's chest. Cut clothing if needed. When patient's chest is bare, remove protective cover and take out white adhesive pads. Look carefully at the pictures on the white adhesive pads. Peel one pad from the yellow plastic liner. Place pad exactly as shown in the picture. Press firmly to patient's bare skin. When the first pad is in place, look carefully at the picture on the second pad. Peel the second pad from the yellow plastic liner. Place pad exactly as shown in the picture. Press firmly to patient's bare skin. No one should touch the patient. Analyzing. Shock advised. Stay clear of patient. Press the flashing orange button now. Deliver shock now. Shock delivered. Be sure the ambulance service has been called. It is safe to touch the patient. Start CPR. For help with CPR, press the flashing blue button.
So that's how you do CPR and use an AED on an adult. Remember, it's easy to learn, it's easy to do, and with it you could save a life.
To think that I'm 22 and I could have died when it happened, and there's no way I would have been happy with all the things I did. So I was just playing soccer with my friends at the indoor soccer place that we normally go to. I don't actually remember what happened. I don't have any memory, but my friends have told me. I came off the field. Apparently I was just leaning forward with my eyes open. Obviously things weren't normal. I collapsed.
We were all very stressed and really worried.
Taryn, are you okay?
Apparently I stopped breathing.
Can you hear me? Guys, he's not breathing.
As soon as he wasn't breathing, I knew what to do, so I just had to do it straight away.
We've got to start CPR.
Taryn wasn't responding at all.
Then that's when I decided to call 000.
We need an ambulance.
Can you go get the defib?
If the sports clinic didn't have the defibrillator, I probably would have died. the CPR works, but you need the defibrillator early.
A friend went to get the defib and we got it pretty quickly. We opened it and followed the instructions straight away.
Apply pads to patients' bare chest.
The instructions were really easy to follow and there's lots of pictures and diagrams and the voice told you what to do in real time.
Analyzing. Stay clear of patient. Shock advised. Shock delivered. Begin CPR.
A couple of times while we were doing compressions, he started breathing on his own again and we put him in the recovery position and maybe 5 seconds and then he was stop breathing again.
We're always hopeful and tend to see a better response when people have good bystander CPR prior to our arrival. When people do receive early CPR and defibrillation, it does increase their chance of survival. Anyone that doesn't receive it, obviously their chances of survival decreases.
I did 30 compressions and then I started the rescue breaths. I think I did about 3 rounds before someone stepped in to take over compressions. And then I counted his compressions and did the rescue breaths.
It's important people feel confident and comfortable to start CPR. A lot of people think that it's difficult. It's a really simple skill. And we always say any CPR is better than no CPR. Even if you're unsure that you're doing it right, we always recommend that people do try. People's lives are at risk.
So I think if this happened to you and you didn't have any training, I think you should call 000 straight away, have a go at doing some compressions and send someone to look for a defib.
I was so happy and grateful because I knew that from what I was told by everyone, they did like an amazing job and they did everything so quickly.
Any cardiac arrest that we get back is great, and to see him walking around today is excellent.
I think I've heard statistics like only 1 in 10 people survive a cardiac arrest and that brain damage is very common, but because they did CPR so well and so quickly, it kind of saved not just me, but also my brain.
Every year in Australia, over 23,000 people will have a cardiac arrest outside of hospital. Only 1 in 10 of these people will survive. With your help, we can do better. We can save more lives with 3 simple steps. Call, push, shock. You don't have to be specially trained to save a life. Call 000. The sooner you call, the sooner help will arrive.
What is the location of the emergency?
You'll be asked some questions by staff over the phone. These questions are important and won't delay help.
I can talk you through CPR.
Push. Start chest compressions by pushing down on the centre of the person's chest, hard and fast. Aim for a rate of 2 compressions per second. Start this as soon as possible. Don't worry that you might hurt the person. You could save their life. Shock. Send someone to collect the nearest AED if there is one nearby, but don't stop chest compressions to get it. To use, simply turn on the AED machine and follow the instructions.
Analyzing. Stay clear of patient. Shock advised. Shock delivered. Begin CPR.
Don't stop chest compressions until instructed to do so. Call 000, push hard and fast, and shock. Remember, 3 simple steps can save a life. Early intervention can make a big difference.
Today is World Restart a Heart Day, which highlights the importance of first aid and CPR. These are potentially life-saving skills, and as the Shima family's remarkable story shows, you never know when they might be needed.
Ambulance emergency. I've got a 19-year-old. We think he's stopped breathing. My husband's just about to start giving CPR. Okay, you with him now? Yes, we are.
When Jenny and Heath Shima woke on April 26th, they immediately knew something was seriously wrong.
Heath's alarm went off at 4:30 and I heard a moaning noise. Went straight to John's room. We found John face down on his bed.
Just when I rolled him over, his eyes were rolled back of his head, glazed. I just looked at Jen and then just sort of basically cried, cuddled him.
Somehow Jenny stayed calm and made the call that saved her son's life.
Okay, have you got him on the ground yet? Yes. Now pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second and 5 centimetres deep. Yes. Let the chest come all the way up between pumps. Count out loud so I can count with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. That rate. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We've only got the one child, and that was by choice, but you know, we just, losing him just wasn't an option.
Okay, the ambulance is with you? Okay, I'll leave you with it.
This is an incredible story of survival. His family did cardiac compressions on him for 24 minutes.
John spent 6 agonising days in an induced coma.
When we got to the hospital, they told us he has sustained some brain damage. He just was a mess and sobbed for hours.
Oh, still emotional now. Like, that's... yeah, to see his son, like, that's just...
When I first saw the photos of me in the coma, it's like, that wasn't me. I'm 19. What 19-year-old has cardiac arrest and dies?
He's since made a strong recovery.
Back at work full time, back playing soccer, back exercising, doing something really I can't do anymore.
It's an absolute miracle.
But most families aren't so lucky. Of the 20,000 Aussies that suffer out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, only 5.7% survive to leave hospital.
Every minute of cardiac arrest, your chances of survival deteriorate by 7 to 10%. We're really trying to encourage people to actually get in, learn CPR.
Anything can go wrong, and then if there's one person around with a first aid certificate, they could end up saving that person's life. I didn't think it was going to happen to me, but it did.
And on Restart a Heart Day, the message is simple.
Call, push, shock. Simply call the ambulance, push on the chest, and if a defibrillator is available, shock the patient before paramedics get there.
I legitimately died, but the CPR and all the ambulance people and all that, my parents saved me. I was dead, and then they brought me back.
Those statistics, 5.7% survival rate. And as a parent, I don't know that I would have the clarity of thought to think, okay, this is what I've got to do.
It's amazing. And the calmness of the AAO operators, they are incredible. But I wonder whether it just should be mandatory, like in workplaces. And because I've done CPR a few times since having babies. And even now, having done it twice, I still feel foggy about it. Like it should be something we all have to do often.
Also, I think there's no substitute. This is the thing. Like, this is not something where better government services or more money is going to solve the problem.
No.
It's immediate.
And that notion that I must do the ring around and find the person who's done the Start a Heart class. Everyone should be doing it.
We asked our experts from Queensland Ambulance Service to help guide us through the difference between cardiac arrests and CPR in adults and children.
Hi everyone, my name's Tony Hucker from the Queensland Ambulance Service. This is a short tutorial on what to do if we're confronted with a baby or an infant who has collapsed and is in cardiac arrest. But before we get into the resuscitation, I want to talk about some of the things that are really important from a prevention perspective. The reasons young children have cardiac arrest, it's generally not from disease or heart attacks. They're just way too young and healthy for that. It's usually other things, and it's risky things that they get into. They either ingest, choke, can have backyard accidents and so on. So it's really important we think about safety and prevention first before we even start on the topic of resuscitation. So if you've got young ones at home, just get on your hands and knees and crawl around the house and try and find the things that your little ones might access and put in their mouth or play with or get access to things that might be dangerous, power, tools, sharp things that they can choke on. That's a really good exercise. Then go online and have a look at all the kids safe programs and try and make your house and your home environment really safe for your little ones. However, if we do get confronted with a little one like this that is non-breathing and in cardiac arrest, the process is really simple. It's Doctors ABC. You can look that up on the Australian Resuscitation Council website. There's a few things we need to know because they are different from adults. They're little, but their airway and breathing is a little bit different too. You notice you've got a really small mouth. They've got small nostrils, and under 6 months of age, they prefer to breathe through their nose. So when we're cleaning the airway, we need to make sure we clear the nostrils as well. They have this airway that is designed, particularly young bubs, that is designed for sucking and breathing at the same time so they can drink and swallow. So they've got a very, very big floppy epiglottis. They've got large tongues as well, and they've got small airways, so it's really important we consider that. They've also got a big head, so when they're on their back their head tends to push forward and flex their neck and can sometimes actually cut off their airway. So when we lie them on a flat surface, we need to put something under their shoulders to bring their head into a more neutral position. When you think about their breathing, they've got really compliant chests, so their ribs are bendy. They don't have fatigue-resistant fibres like adults do, so that means they just run out of energy really quick when their work of breathing is increased. So they can run out of puff pretty quickly when they're little and in respiratory distress. So what do we do? If we confront it with a young baby like this that is non-breathing, it's pretty evident straight away. So it's dangers, and in this case it's getting them into a workable area. So pick them up off the ground or wherever you found them, in the bedroom, back seat of the car or something like that, and get them into a safe working spot. But so it's doctor's ABC, so there's no danger. Is there a response? No, give them a shake and a yell, and there's no response there. Then send for help. That's really important. Get someone to ring 000 straight away and get an ambulance on the way. And then we want to have a look at the airway, because most problems with infants and babies of this size, it's to do with their airway and breathing. It's very rarely a primary cause from a heart problem. So check the airway, get them on their side, open their mouth up, have a good look in, wipe the mucus off the mucosa, and actually tilt the head down and drain the fluid out if you can. Next thing is to check for breathing. Now do that for about 5 or 10 seconds. This child is not breathing. We need to get them down onto the table, and then what we need to do is really gently ventilate their lungs. But we tend to want to do this in infants, but even so, the rules need to be that we should start compression straight away, like we do with adults. So while we're tempted to start doing expired air resuscitation or rescue breathing, we should start compressions. And a couple of ways we can do that. Center of the chest, with our 2 fingers, press 1/3 of the depth of the chest at about 100 compressions a minute, like so. Or, and this is a better technique, is with your 2 thumbs, like so. Okay, and what we're doing is 30 compressions and 2 inflations. So 29, 28, 29, 30, 2 puffs. Puff, puff. When you puff the air in, just loosely cover mouth and nose. And what you want to do is just look out the corner of your eye and watch the chest rise. We're not looking for big movement, because if you actually blow too much air into the lungs, they'll fill, and then you put air down in the tummy. And if you fill the tummy up with air, it makes it harder for them to breathe. So it's really important, just gentle puffs, like puh, puh, like so. Then back to 30 compressions. So let's just do that again, just to whip through this. So the approach is, we've picked this child up, the child is floppy, lifeless, turning blue, there is no dangers, so we check for a response, send for help, 000, open the airway up, have a look in the airway, and open their mouth, clean their nostrils, listen, look, listen and feel for breathing. There is none. Straight into compressions. Okay. Remember, 30 compressions, 2 inflations. 28, 29, 30. Down, puff, puff, back. As we start thinking about resuscitation in a more advanced way, we will then want to increase the number of breaths. So we'll actually do 15 compressions to 2 inflations. That's the preferred method in young infants, but it's okay to start with 30 to 2 at the start. We're really focusing on basic life support today. Now, while we're waiting for help to come along and the compressions are going along, and someone comes along to help you, it might be time to think about attaching a defibrillator as well. And think about the dangers, response, airway, breathing, circulation, ABC, doctors ABC, D. D is at the end for defibrillation. So defibrillators, there's all sorts on the market. As long as they're TGA approved, they're fine. And it's unlikely that babies need a shock, but we still should attach a defibrillator anyway. And what we do, the simple approach with defibrillators, we switch them on and follow the instructions. And if it's an adult defibrillator, it's okay, because what you can do, you can take the adult pads and pop them on the front of the child's chest like so, and the other one on the back like so. Anchor it really nicely, and the machine will then tell you what to do, okay? This is really scary stuff. We see in Queensland around 100 cardiac arrests in this age group, so it's really rare. So the only way you can kind of have any sense of confidence in looking after babies this size is actually practice it. Go and do a first aid course. Make sure you do it every year. If you've got little ones, probably do it a little bit more often so you feel more comfortable. And what it will do, it will reinforce the important issues around safety in your home. So let's make sure it doesn't happen. Safety first, and then if we can, do a first aid course and get yourself proficient in resuscitation in this young age group as well as adults.
While I was at home, I suffered what's known as a sudden cardiac arrest. And I was medically dead for 16 minutes and was very fortunate to survive. And the reasons that I did survive was because of my wife, Judy, who came to my aid, and she got on to 000. And our 2 children then performed CPR on their father for that 16 minutes. And the other reason that I survived that night was because of the care and support that we got from St. John. 15 months on, I'm glad to say that I'm doing very well, and I believe I've recovered, and getting on with life. And I'm so grateful that I have got a second chance at life. The biggest thing that we learnt from the experience was, one, how important CPR and first aid training is in this type of situation, and also the importance of having a defibrillator on hand to assist as well. Both of those contributed to me surviving and being in the condition that I am today.
Our lives completely changed. We've gone on a different path. We sold our home and we've moved into something smaller and got rid of stress. Stress is a big factor, and just enjoying life. But also what we're doing is we've started a new business, and we're out there promoting and selling defibrillators.
Each year there's approximately 30,000 Australians that have cardiac arrests, and unfortunately the survival rate is very low, somewhere between 9 to 10%. And the vision for us is to increase that survival rate. And to do that, we need to empower people to learn about CPR, first aid training, and also in getting people to have defibrillators at their workplaces, at their homes, sporting venues, because they are a life-saving device. That's vital.
What we've decided to do is donate part of our proceeds from the defibs we sell to the St. John Giving Program, because that money then is used and gone back into the community to educate. Today the defibs are amazing, and they just guide you through and talk you through everything, which is fantastic. So they are easy to use and life-saving.
Definitely.
Technology keeps making great strides and assists in increasing survival rates from cardiac arrests. COVID pushed us to think outside the box, and how we learn CPR is now getting easier than ever.
We're all going through challenging times with the heavy impact that COVID-19 had on our lives. Besides the direct implications of the pandemic, organisations have mostly postponed the training of life-saving skills, which reduces the chances of surviving an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, especially with social distancing measures in place. Anywhere allows instructors to continue teaching resuscitation skills to communities anytime, anywhere, while students can join from the safety of their homes. Our course delivery solution allows instructors to train classes not only in an entirely virtual session, but also in traditional, safe classroom settings. It can even be scaled up for mass CPR events, where hundreds of learners can train simultaneously using any type of mannequin available. Conducting a training session is easy. Instructors create a class via Anywhere platform, and learners simply enter their classroom code into the QCPR Classroom app on their smartphones. Then instructors have the freedom to train their learners in various resuscitation skills according to the learning objectives. Our QCPR feedback allows instructors to observe their learners' live performance, regardless of location or equipment. It shows in real time which skill individual learners are struggling with the most, enabling instructors to provide personal improvement tips by continuously evaluated objective feedback. On top of that, learners can also follow their individual performance via their phones and improve their life-saving skills. We strive to be compatible with any mannequin, or basically anything you can compress on. The highest fidelity feedback can be achieved with our little QCPR mannequins, from compression feedback to leaning and ventilation. Mannequins such as Mini Anne, or even a homemade DIY mannequin substitute, will provide rate feedback and can be used for learners' training and assessment. Having completed the course, instructors will be able to evaluate the performance of the students and their own progress via a dashboard to continuously improve their courses, to empower lifesavers anywhere.
Kia ora koutou, my name's Olivia. My mum works for Wellington Free Ambulance, and this is what she's taught me to do in an emergency. If you see someone who needs help, she said to, number 1, call 111 and ask for an ambulance. Tell them where you are. It's important that you know your address just in case an emergency happens at home. Number 2, find another adult who can help you, but make sure you stay on the phone. Number 3, listen to the person on the phone. They will tell you what to do, and you might be able to help by doing CPR.
That's awesome. Well done, Olivia.
The Council of Ambulance Authorities is grateful for the support of the New Zealand Governor-General, Dame Patsy Reddy, who herself is a passionate supporter of the ambulance services and their work.
Would you know what to do if you came across someone in cardiac arrest? It could be a family member, a friend, or someone you don't even know lying unconscious and not breathing normally. An out-of-hospital cardiac arrest happens more often than you might think. Each day in New Zealand, St John treats approximately 5 people for an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. For every minute that goes by without CPR or using an AED, the chance of survival drops by up to 15%. This survival rate can be doubled by people taking 3 easy steps. I encourage all New Zealanders to visit the website, share the video on social media and talk with their whānau and friends about what to do. By raising awareness and being prepared to act, we can all save a life.
Wellington Free Ambulance demonstrates the difference and similarities in performing CPR and using AEDs on adults, kids and infants.
I'm now going to talk you through how to do CPR. We use the doctor's ABCD approach. So we're going to start with D for danger. First, you want to make sure that there's no danger to yourself, the patient or any bystanders. R is for response. So we want to check a response from our patient. So we'll start by talking to them. Hello, can you open your eyes? Can you hear me? If that doesn't work, we want to elicit a response. We'll do so by gently shaking and asking them to open their eyes. S is for send for help. So you want to call 111 and ask for an ambulance. Also remember to ask somebody to set your nearest AED when you're calling for help. A is for airway. We want to open the patient's airway and check for any obstructions or anything that could be occluding their airway. We'll do so by placing one hand on the patient's forehead and one hand under the chin and lifting their airway open, whilst having a look inside to make sure that there's no obvious obstruction of the airway. B is for breathing. Next, we want to check if our patient is breathing. We're going to do that by listening and feeling for any breaths for up to 10 seconds, but no longer. C is for compressions. We want to make sure that we remove clothing from the upper body. Place your hands in the centre of the chest, one on top of the other, and compress continuously until further help arrives. For a child, your compressions are exactly the same as an adult, except you're going to use one hand. So you're going to find the centre of the chest and compress continuously with one hand. For an infant, we're going to do the same with our depth being 1/3 of the chest depth, and we're going to use 2 fingers in the centre of the chest. So between the nipple lines is the centre of the chest, and we're going to compress continuously there. Alternatively, you can use your thumbs. One thumb over the other and compress in the centre of the chest. Don't worry if you don't recall all of that. When you call 111, our emergency medical call takers will talk you through this process. Over to you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Brendan. When you call 111, you'll be transferred to one of our emergency medical call takers. We will then ask you for your address. Please remember to give us the exact address so that we can get help to you as quickly as possible. Our call takers will also ask you what has happened. If the patient is not awake and not breathing, we will guide you through CPR, and we will count the chest compressions with you so you're not alone. We'll stay on the phone with you until a paramedics or a first responder arrives. It is important that you carefully listen to our instructions so that we can help the patient together. And don't worry, an ambulance is already on the way.
We look towards what the future holds and what a heart-safe, healthy community might look like when health and cardiac arrest plays a part in planning communities.
A heart-safe community is a community in which we raise awareness of early access CPR and early access defibrillation. Tatura was chosen as a pilot town for this program, and as a result of that, and as a result of the work we've done here, we've managed to teach over 1,000 people in the population early access CPR and defibrillation, as well as raise awareness of AEDs and in placing them in publicly accessible locations for 24 hours, 7 days a week.
So with my fitness group, we had the paramedics and ACOs come down and teach my clients basic CPR skills. A lot of them weren't aware of that, just that little bit of involvement can help save someone's life.
Through our Lions Club, we've been involved with the ambulance coming to our meetings. We all went home feeling a lot safer and knowing that we may be able to help someone in the future.
They came and did a demonstration on how to do CPR, how to use defib machines. We had people on the floor pumping plastic hearts.
The staff have taken it on board so well, and it's just a great tool for the town.
When we first started this program, started off with only 3 registered defibs across the town. As of today, we are over 23 registered across the town, as well as 6 of those being 24/7 publicly accessible defibrillators right in the main street.
I think there's not an organisation in the town now that doesn't have access to a defib, and they've been taught to do it.
Whether it's a sporting field, schools, the supermarket, if anything happens, the town's got it covered. I always thought defib machines were for doctors and nurses, no one else, and little old me can now do it.
The more people in the community know about the heart-safe message and doing CPR and not hesitating in those times of need, the better our out-of-hospital cardiac arrest survival rates will be.
It gets a community working together for such a life-changing thing.
I think it's someone in my family that needed help, that someone would be able to assist them.
I would encourage every town to take this on board. We can all learn, and this is what it's all about, to learn to save lives.
Get on board and do it. It's so important, and you will save lives. We've seen it happen. It's worth it.
The Good Sam app is available in Victoria and integrated with Ambulance Victoria's dispatch system to quickly connect patients with help in the vital first minutes of a cardiac arrest. Every day, 16 Victorians suffer a cardiac arrest in the community, like Jack, who has suddenly collapsed at home and stopped breathing. His best chance of survival is if CPR is started immediately and a defibrillator is used as soon as possible. Time is critical as Jack's family call 000 for an ambulance. The call taker immediately dispatches emergency services and guides Jack's family to provide CPR while paramedics are on the way. At the same time, nearby Good Sam responders receive a phone alert that Jack needs help. Zoe, an off-duty lifesaver, and Max, a qualified first aider, both accept the alert. Good Sam directs them to Jack's location and where to find the nearest registered defibrillator. Zoe and Max arrive within minutes and perform life-saving CPR and defibrillation until emergency services arrive. Paramedics provide advanced care to stabilise Jack and then transport him to hospital. It takes a team to save a life, and Good Sam brings our community closer when someone needs urgent medical help.
Hello, I'm Kevin McSweeney, the current chair of the Michael Hughes Foundation. The foundation was established as a legacy to Michael, who was just 38 years of age when he passed away from sudden cardiac arrest. For the last 5 years, the Michael Hughes Foundation team has been working hard to tackle the devastating impact of cardiac arrest in the community. Our programs include life-saving training in CPR and the use of defibrillators. We've worked with schools, government, business, youth and sporting organisations. It's our aim to turn bystanders into first responders in all medical emergencies. Our work includes the implementation of the cardiac chain of survival. This approach creates a coordinated response from bystanders and medical professionals. We are strongly supporting the framework of heart-safe communities. We are partnering with leading property companies, Pace and Sekisui House Australia, to roll out this program at their groundbreaking Melrose Park project. Melrose Park is one of Sydney's biggest urban renewal projects, including 6,000 apartments, parks and public facilities, and a new town centre known as Melrose Park Central. The HeartSafe program will include the rollout of defibrillators across the project. It will also include training residents as first responders, an app which notifies key people in the event of a cardiac event, and the integration of the defibrillator program into the building management emergency plan. We're excited to be working with Pace and Sekisui House on this life-saving project.
We'd been lucky enough to win a senior grade premiership on the Saturday. And this was on the Tuesday, and the players had arranged a bus.
And we're waiting around, and the bus was probably 15-20 minutes late, and in that time between 11 and the bus turning up, Barry walked over.
And I just remember waving to the boys, and I collapsed.
So then I went over and I rolled him over, and that's when we knew that there was some real serious issues going on here. And that's when the other four boys and Rob, I suppose instinct kicked in a little bit.
I still remember how calm it was. Everyone was just so calm. Everyone just, I was on the phone straight away.
So are you right by him now?
We're right with him, yeah.
Okay, so listen carefully. What we need to do is lay him flat on his back on the ground and remove any pillows.
Someone else jumped on CPR, another person jumped to go get the defib.
I happened to have the keys to where it was locked up, grabbed it, brought it down. At the same time, Zach was bringing one across from the hub. Happened to get there first, so opened it up and it was applied.
The pads are on and we're just waiting.
It's analysing the patient?
Yes. Analysing.
So everyone stop touching him?
Yeah, everyone's
good.
Absolutely clear. Where's the flashing orange button? Yeah. Stop delivery.
You right?
Yeah, it's all right. Just wait there. Don't try and lift your head. How many see you now?
Okay, are they right there with the patient?
He's talking to us now.
I'll never forget it. He was purple, and then I just saw the life come back into him basically, and everyone sort of looked at each other, and then he started talking to us, and I was like,
couldn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going on. He thought
Everyone was just like, what has just happened?
Oh, they saved Barry's life. Really, it took him about probably 10 minutes to completely recover, but by the time we put him in an ambulance, he knew exactly what was going on. And it was all credit to everyone that arrived before the ambulance did.
The way everyone just got on with the job, and regardless of what was happening, it was very proud moments. I look back on that for the rest of my life to know that I've saved someone's life and was a part of it.
Look, I can't think of enough, and it's probably etched in their mind, that I'll never forget it. When you get your life saved, it's pretty amazing, and you just have that little affinity with them, I reckon.
Thank you everyone for joining us today and over the past week. We hope you now understand more about out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And in case you are faced with one, you will be brave enough and know enough to make a difference to that person's life. Remember, call, push, shock. You will help save a life. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for joining us today on Restart a Heart Day. We hope that what you've learnt today and throughout the week, you'll share with your friends and family to help raise awareness of the importance of knowing to call, push, shock in the event of a cardiac arrest. You could help save a life in 3 simple steps. Don't forget to take part in the hashtag 9for9 challenge throughout the month of October. Head over to restartaheart.net where you can learn more about CPR and AED awareness, order a CPR education kit, get your hands on a limited edition Restart a Heart Day Build-A-Bear, and download a digital tools pack to help spread the message. Thanks so much for joining us.